their actual situation is, and that's where we can help them.
So it's more than just maybe a statement then a month. It probably would be coming in regularly to double check on things, right?
Yeah, we have to think about this too. Like if you're saying like, hey, I get a statement in the mail every month, right? That statement might only be sent out quarterly from, your investments, but you might get a letter every month from some 401k that you have from a previous employer. But then you're not taking into account with those numbers, the numbers that you would be getting from Social Security, the numbers that you might get from your spouse's income, the money that you're not going to be paying in for taxes or Social Security, and how that all works out in the end. And really, it comes down to how much money you're going to be putting in your pocket each month in retirement. And that's the number that people want to know, that they don't know how to get to that number.
Galen, is it tough to find out how to get to that number?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go over everything. Last week I ran into a couple people that just pop out in my mind, with what we're talking about. One is I had a lady that, she thought that she was doing great. She didn't think that she needed to have a review. She was about 53 years old. She's just said, okay, I'm going to do it. But at the beginning, she's like, I'm good. And we're going over everything. And then I realized she's putting like $150 extra a paycheck into life insurance that she doesn't have. One, she's a widow. And yes, she did want to leave money to her children, but the most important was to leave to her spouse. And two, she wasn't putting enough money into her investments. And she didn't put into her investments for the first 10 years. Wow. So she was so top heavy on life insurance instead of funding into her own investments that she was really missing out on the stock market and what could be possible to give her returns and that stability into retirement.
I guess kind of ignorance is bliss is not the right way to go on this one.
No, I mean, it's a lot of, there's a lot of unknown, a lot of people, I mean, even we are guilty of it ourselves. We signed up for an AMC Plus subscription, I don't know, like 6 years ago.
Yeah, and you haven't used it yet, right?
Not at all. And then we're like, and then there's like, this show that we watched a long time ago is coming back on. I wonder if we should go check that out. And then we go and we already have the subscription.
I know the exact feeling you're talking about there. Yeah. You just kind of forget about these things and you just kind of get into a habit, it sounds like. So a regular checkup every now and then, I'm making it sound like a doctor here, but a regular checkup every now and then to see if you need to change your habits around.
That's the thing I was thinking about this morning. We're supposed to go to the dentist, I don't know, every 6 months, right? Average lifespan is 80 years, so that's 160 times in our lifetime for teeth. Right?
Yeah.
Definitely you need your teeth. It's a good thing. But like in your lifetime, you meet with your financial advisor like 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
Well, I mean, a proper plan set in place, you do let it sit for a while because you have to let whatever is established kind of like take root and grow a little bit. So I would say, every 2 years when you're in your 40s, 50s, still every 2 years, late 50s, you start talking every year.
So you're not looking at seeing them twice a year like the dentist would. You're looking at them maybe more like seeing a specialist then.
No, but think of it this way. You go into your dentist and every couple of times they're like, hey, let's take some x-rays and let's actually look at everything down deep that we can't see on the surface.
Well, yeah.
And that's something that we're going to do with our clients too. Once we actually have a client in our systems and we're working with them, the great thing is that it doesn't always have to be an x-ray situation, but we're going to get that situation set up in the beginning where we're going to look deep in everything and figure out where you're at. We're going to save all that information so that whenever you call us 2 years down the line and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this or this, where's the best place for me to pull this money from? What's the best way for me to do this? I have this goal now that I want to meet. How can I do that? And then we work with them from the time that they meet us in their 30s or 40s the whole way up until they're ready to retire.
It sounds like a daunting experience, but if you have somebody like you guys or the people that work with you that are highly qualified in this situation, it makes the process easy, I would think. Yeah. So let's talk about something else that's kind of, I guess, that would put fear into someone's heart. Maybe the volatility of things, because you were talking about maybe people looking into the stock market instead of going top heavy with health insurance. The market itself is a volatile thing and is intimidating on its own.
Yeah, I think, pop culture is always going to be the same, and everybody is going to always have some kind of concern about what's going on in the world whenever we're talking about it. So I think that
definitely.
no matter where we're at, there's always going to be some sort of uncertainty. With market, and volatility, you really just have to talk to me about where you think the market is going, and that's really how you approach the market personally. You have to decide what you can tolerate if the market did lose, because, with risk comes that reward. So the riskier you are, the bigger rewards you could make in a time period. So I don't steer people away from the risk. I try to educate people on the risk and just know the outcome.
All right. So, and there's also ways that you could also mitigate that risk too. I mean, people could just, instead of diving in, they could just dip their toe in.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do diversification. And of course, if a person is automatically not very risk adverse, we're not going to, throw it up to the moon, with risk. We're going to start off slow, government bonds, treasury notes, things that are
Some of the blue
safer.
chippers, yeah, some of the safe stuff.
When Galen sits down with people, he does, a lot of people don't know what their risk tolerance is or how much risk they can handle. But that's something that Galen sits down and goes through with them to help them understand what their risk tolerance is and how aggressive they can be whenever they are playing in the market. But honestly, market volatility has been something that I think we've actually at this point almost become numb to it, because it has been so up and down over the last couple years that the market's down, surprise, surprise.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, the market's up, surprise, surprise. It's such a tumultuous up and down time that I think that a lot of people are starting. It's not like
it was
thing in the news.
Yeah, it's not like it was back in maybe the 80s or the 90s when people were really paying attention to it, and just the littlest drop would cause a little bit of a pit in their stomach feeling,
Regardless, being prepared, practicing proper preparation prevents
poor performance.
Yes.
There we go. I remember the saying. I remember the saying.
So, if you're worried about market volatility and stuff like that, you really just need to come in and sit down with Galen and see where you're at and see how much of your stuff is actually affected by the market, and if you're in a good spot to actually handle those fluctuations.
So really, any fears that come when it comes to investing, getting things ready for your future, the retirement world, it shouldn't be as scary as all that. It shouldn't be at all. So
We're not going to stick a drill in your mouth.
no,
More dentist references.
Yeah, please. Is it safe?
Yeah. Do you feel that?
No, I don't. Let's not go there. But you know what? I mean, it does kind of feel like sometimes when it comes to financial information, it does sometimes feel like you have to pull teeth a little bit to get the proper information. But the right digging does wonders.
Yeah.
So, what sort of information are you looking at whenever you do go into a deep dive?
So really with a deep dive, we're not just looking at the individual themselves. We would be looking at the whole family as a whole. There are a lot of different family shapes out there, if that makes sense, where, some big differences would be, hey, I have a disabled child that I care for, that I'm the caretaker for, that I need to make sure is in my long-term plan of retirement. I have a spouse that I care for. I have a spouse that's terminally ill. I have a spouse that passed away. There's all these different things that go into each person's individual plan that whenever we do a deep dive, we're going to look at all of the things, not just the thing in the main circle, but all of the things attached to it too.
All right, excellent. So, if someone wants to begin a deep dive, they can get a hold of you guys, right?
Do you know our phone number?
Yes, 724-915-0001 is how to reach me direct. And
You want that out there?
We're 000 to 00010, so you'll reach us if you get us.
Definitely. And of course, when visit the new offices just on 9th Street here.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Also, too, thanks to COVID, we do appointments on Zoom now. So, we were making a lot of dentist references today. You don't always have to go into the dentist office with us. We can do these things via Zoom, too. So,
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Excellent. And you can also, if you need to show them something, you just share your screen right there.
yeah, share the screen. And all the stuff that we do, we send hard copies in the mail, too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Galen and guys, thanks very much. You guys have been great. I mean, this has allied, I think, some fears that people have had when it comes to money investment. Clinton, Galen, thanks very much for
you so
joining
much.
us, and
Thanks,
give
See you
our
guys.
best to everybody at GCES.
Thank
will
you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Clinton and Galen from GCES joining us on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. Our interview presented by Marcus and Mack, voted best law firm, best personal injury lawyer 4 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online, marcusandmack.com. It is